You are standing in line at the coffee shop, waiting for your morning order. The barista hands the cup to someone who walked in 5 minutes after you. You could say something. You should say something. But you just smile, take a step back, and tell yourself it is not a big deal. You consider yourself a peaceful person. But the real reason you never get angry is far stranger. It is not inner peace. It is a hidden survival mechanism your brain uses to protect you from yourself, and it is quietly changing the wiring of your mind. When you swallow your anger, you probably feel like you are defusing a bomb. In reality, you are just moving the detonator somewhere out of sight. For decades, psychologists have studied the difference between feeling an emotion and expressing it. In the late 1990s, researcher Dr. James Gross and his colleague Dr. Robert Levinson at the University of California, Berkeley, ran a series of experiments on emotional suppression. They brought people into a lab, showed them a heartbreaking documentary, and told half of them to hide whatever they felt. The people who kept a poker face reported feeling just as upset as everyone else. But their bodies told a completely different story. Their hearts pounded faster. Their blood pressure spiked. Their sweat glands went into overdrive. By trying to look perfectly calm on the outside, their internal systems were screaming. Your brain does not know the difference between hiding an emotion and not feeling it. It just knows the threat is still there, lingering in the background, burning through your energy. If you are finding this interesting, your brain is likely experiencing the mere exposure effect. The more you hear a familiar concept broken down in a new way, the more you naturally want to lean in. Giving this video a like is a tiny commitment to your brain to keep exploring these hidden mechanisms. It tells your mind to stay curious. So what happens when you make a habit of swallowing your frustration? Your brain begins to categorize anger as an unacceptable threat. It stops processing the emotion entirely. This is not forgiveness. This is emotional amnesia. You might genuinely believe you are unfazed by the people who wronged you, but the resentment is still there, quietly directing traffic in your subconscious. In the 1980s, psychologist Dr. Daniel Wegner conducted a famous experiment at Harvard University. He told participants not to think about a white bear. The results were bizarre. The very thing they tried to suppress flooded their minds, returning at a rate far higher than those who were allowed to think freely. The same rule applies to your anger. The harder you push it down, the more intensely it dictates your mood. It leaks out as passive comments. It bleeds into your sleep. It shows up as chronic exhaustion. When you banish an emotion, you do not kill it. You simply blind yourself to its location. This creates a hidden psychological cost. People who never show anger often experience sudden, unexplainable fatigue. Their nervous system is constantly running a background program, hunting for the anger they refuse to acknowledge. It is exhausting. Why does your brain do this? It goes back to childhood. If expressing frustration once resulted in punishment or withdrawal of love, your developing mind learned a simple equation. Anger equals danger. To keep you safe, your brain built a fortress of agreeableness. But a fortress is not a home. It is a cage. If you are still reading, your brain's drive for cognitive consistency is activating right now. Subscribing to the channel is an extension of this drive. It is a way of telling your mind, I am the kind of person who seeks truth, even when it is uncomfortable. You are aligning your actions with your new understanding, which is exactly how lasting self-concept shifts happen. But here is the counterintuitive twist. Anger is not actually a destructive emotion. It is a highly evolved biological signal, much like physical pain. When you touch a hot stove, pain tells you to pull your hand away. When someone violates your boundary, anger tells you to step back and protect yourself. People who never get angry have essentially disconnected their emotional alarm system. They no longer feel the heat of the stove. They just let their boundaries burn while smiling at the person holding the match. Modern life deeply rewards this behavior. We praise the employee who works late without complaint. We elevate the friend who never argues, always agrees, and absorbs everyone else's stress. We call it being easygoing. But psychological research paints a much darker picture. A massive longitudinal study conducted by the University of Michigan tracked thousands of individuals over nearly 2 decades. They found that people who routinely suppressed their anger had a significantly higher mortality risk. Not from violence or reckless accidents, but from quiet, internal diseases. Heart disease, chronic inflammation, respiratory issues. The body keeps the score and it always collects its debt. Your mind is not a steel vault. It is a living, breathing ecosystem. When you dam up the river of anger, it does not simply dry up and disappear. It turns into a stagnant swamp. You become quietly reactive to things that should not bother you at all. A delayed text message triggers disproportionate irritation. A slightly slow driver sends your heart racing. This happens because your emotional plumbing is entirely backed up. The pressure has nowhere to go but sideways, leaking out into your daily interactions and your physical health. You think you are maintaining the peace, but you are actually just delaying the explosion. You become a ticking clock, ticking so silently that even you cannot hear it. So how do you disarm the bomb without simply cutting the wire? You do not need to become a hostile person to be emotionally healthy. The goal is not to weaponize your anger, but to stop pretending it does not exist. You just need to let the emotion exist without acting on it destructively. When the barista gets your order wrong, or someone dismisses your opinion in a meeting, your brain starts its familiar routine of pushing the feeling down. Instead of telling yourself it does not matter, try simply acknowledging the heat. Say to yourself internally, I am angry right now. Let the feeling sit there for a moment. Do not shove it away. Do not build a massive story around it. Just feel the physical sensation of it in your chest. Notice how it rises, peaks, and eventually fades on its own. When you stop fighting the emotion, your nervous system finally stops panicking. It realizes the anger is just a passing signal, not a permanent threat to your survival. As you reflect on your own mental habits, choosing to subscribe to this channel is a small way to practice exactly that. You are choosing to lean into the uncomfortable truths of human psychology instead of suppressing them. You are building a commitment to self-awareness, proving to your own mind that you can handle the hard truths without looking away. The next time someone crosses your boundary, you do not have to explode. But you also do not have to pretend it is fine. You can hold your ground calmly, precisely because you are no longer at war with your own feelings. You are finally allowing yourself to be a complete, authentic human being. Because the real reason you never get angry is not peace. It is fear. And you are standing in line at the coffee shop, waiting for your morning order.